Good morning, guys. So today I have some photos of my son and his friends at the Waterfall. They went hiking. I'm not sure where it was. It was here in Bremerton somewhere, but they went to this waterfall and they posed for selfies. And I got the pictures off their Facebook because I thought they were really cool. And I'm starting out with some pinstripe Mr. Huey's on this wood grain background, and I'm just sprinkling it around. And then I'm going to cut this red paper to use as the photo mat. And I'm using the July hip kit for this layout. This is my favorite border punch, the chevron that I just punched. I love that, especially for guy layouts. I just think chevrons and guys, it goes well. This triangle paper, I really love that paper. And I wanted to use it and thought it didn't stand out enough against that white wood grain paper. So I'm actually matting that layer on another layer of the red paper. And then you'll notice when I lay it down, see how much better it stands out. So I just matted it just like I would a photo. Not sure what I'm doing right now. Oh, okay, so I went and got my red Delusions, and I'm just sprinkling some of that around too. And you can't really see it in the video, but in person you can see the red, and it looks pretty cool. So I got this today 3x4 card, and I wanted to use that on the page, so I'm putting that down. I'm going to move it. It's not going to end up staying there, but I got my Big Shot out, or Big Kick out, so that I could cut some tags. And this is the Tim Holtz tag die. It cuts a tag, and then it also cuts like a little bread tie thing. It's early in the morning, so you guys don't have to excuse me. So I cut this gray tag, and I think I cut another one, but I may do that in a little while. And I fuss around with these tags a lot too, and then I end up not using them. So live and learn. So I'm trying to figure out where to put that today card. And it's actually going to end up on the left side of the layout. And I'm just going to scoot everything over, but I don't do that until a little bit later. So I thought that I wanted to put some tags behind where the today is and have it where that little space is. It's funny to me how we start out with something in an idea in our heads, and then when you play around with the page, sometimes it ends up so different or completely opposite of what you thought you were going to do. And that's kind of how this page turned out. So I cut some of the little circle tabby things. What are those called? Like hole reinforcements or something like that. I cut those out of a file folder that I got at the thrift store for like 5 cents. And I got that idea from Tracy, who is Mercy Tierra. And I think that was an excellent idea. And I was at the thrift store one day, and I saw a big like bucket full of these file folders, and they were 5 cents a piece, and I just grabbed 2 of them and said, oh, I'm going to go home and cut some out for myself. So that's what I did. So every time I cut a tag now, I just use those little circle reinforcement things. So now I've decided to cut my other tag, and I'm going to use this alphabet paper. And this was the kit that I had a little bit of a problem with. It had all papers that I would not have picked out for myself. So I had a hard time using it, but I'm learning how to use stuff that is not... Like, I'm used to using collections. I buy a collection, and I just use that collection to scrapbook. And these kits are making me stretch my imagination a little bit and using supplies that I wouldn't normally use together. And I'm starting to appreciate that. It's a little bit more difficult, but I think it's like a learning process, So I'm learning to scrapbook without everything being matchy-matchy and, being inside of one collection. And I think kits are the perfect way to do that because, everything in it pretty much matches. just not the way that you're used to in a collection. So you can't really go too far off, you know, off the beaten path, but so I'm just going to adjust these tags a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere them down, and they'll get moved, but I thought that that's where they were going to be. You have to excuse me, I have the sniffles today. So I'm using my ATG to glue down the big piece of paper, and I usually use my little this to that dot roller for like little things, or for the back of my photos, or for anything that I think I'm going to have to pick up and move. And then I use my big yellow ATG gun for anything that's really large or something that I don't think I'm going to have to move, because it's much more cost effective to use that than to use this little dot roller. My son is the blonde in the middle. He's not really blonde, but he colored his hair blonde for a few weeks and then cut it all off and decided he didn't like it. And those are his friends, Alex and Kyle. And he's been friends with them for years and years and years. So it's kind of neat to watch my son and his friends grow up together. When I was growing up, we moved around a lot, and I never had friends for very long because we were constantly moving. And I think I went to like 22 different schools. And it was for my dad's job. He had to move a lot. So when I had my kids, my goal was to live in one place and have them grow up around the same kids and the same house, if possible. If not the same house, at least the same neighborhood. Do you know what I mean? And I have been able to do that. And now that they're almost grown, well, Justin is grown. He just turned 22 yesterday, but Tyler's 17. They are actually, like, I'm watching their friends grow up and get married and have babies, and, you know, it's just amazing. So I'm really glad that I was able to do that for them. So I thought about using that 3x4 card right there with the black arrows, but I wasn't able to figure out a place for it. So I don't end up using it. You'll notice, like, in these layouts, you'll notice when I'm using a collection how much quicker the page comes together for me. And, you know, back to the thing what I was saying about the kits. It seems to take me a little bit longer to get the page together when I'm using a kit. And that's just because I'm still learning how to use things that don't match. Well, they match, but you know what I mean. So even though I didn't think I was going to move that big part that I used the ATG on, I'm moving it, and it ripped the paper, but I'm going to cover that up, so that's okay. So I'm going to move everything over to the right so that I can use a card on the left, but I'm going to end up using that Today card, not the one that says this. And I'm still trying to use those tags. I really like to use tags on guy layouts. I think they're the perfect little added touch for a guy's layout. Tags and stars. I use a lot of stamps on boy layouts. So I'm just gluing down the pieces that kind of came up or came loose when I moved it. Oh, okay. So the bottom part where that chevron punch is, right above where the chevron is, I put a row of foam tape just so that it would pop up on the bottom. And I think that looks pretty cool. Sorry, I should have cut out this part where I was thinking. It looks like I'm just sitting there thinking. So I don't know what happened, but I turned off the camera and didn't turn it back on until I had put this back together. And I ended up using a different thicker, and the title is Waterfall Hijinks. And as you can see, I moved that Today card over to the left-hand side. And I'm not real happy with the way that it's laid out because it doesn't reach the other end on the right-hand side, but I had already moved it and I didn't want to try to move it again. So I just said, you know, heck with it. Nobody's going to notice but me. And now you guys, since I told you. But it's going in my son's book, and he's not real picky, so he likes all my pages. So I used a pair of little chipboard glasses because my son wears glasses. And then I put a chipboard arrow on there that says hello, and I pointed it towards my son because I wanted the focus to be on him, even though he's in the middle and kind of in the background on one of the photos. And then I just put down a couple of other little chipboard embellishments. One says, "Oh snap," and I can't see what the yellow one says, but then I put a mustache on the left-hand side under the Today, and a camera, a chipboard camera, up on the top right. And these are the snap caps from Daily Flash Collection from October Afternoon, and I'm going to use a couple of their little tags too. There's one that says Top Secret, and it's an arrow, and I thought that was fun because they were, I don't know what they were doing. They were like doing some sort of anime pose or something. You'd never know they're all grown-up kids. They're just little boys in big boy bodies, you know, which I suppose is all men. And I think that this is pretty much it. I think I might add a little bit more mist, but I'm pretty sure this is the... Oh, I think I stamped a little bit. Oh, I had my wallet out, so I was giving my son some money. Sorry about that. See, I should have cut that part out too. So now I've got my stamp set out, and there's a stamp that says Dude, and so I wanted to stamp that down there in that right hand corner. And I'm using VersaFine ink. Oh, no, okay, that's a different stamp. Sorry. I don't remember what that one says, but I stamped it directly on the photo. And then I realized, oh no, I should have used StazOn, but it stayed and it didn't smear, so I guess you can use VersaFine too if you let it dry. And there's the Dude stamp. And then I'm stamping this star around the page, and then I'm going to stamp another smaller star. And then the page is done, I think. It's been a while since I made this page. I love that stamp set. That stamp set that has all the boy sayings is from October Afternoon. If you want to know the name of it, let me know and I'll look it up. But it's awesome for boy pages, whether they're little boys or grown boys. So I put the date and who's in the photo down on the bottom right corner on one of those little snap caps. And here's a close-up of my layout. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll be back again soon. Bye.